Recently, I had someone comment on one of my YouTube videos and they said, Ben, why should I kill myself writing a very nice and thoughtful thank you email when I didn't get the job? I came in second place. What is the point? In today's video, in today's episode of Ask a Recruiter, I am going to answer that question in detail and kind of comment on why it makes a ton of sense to do this and how to go about doing it and what language you should use when you send that thank you email. Let's go. Now, first and foremost, I get it. You are disappointed if you make it all the way to the end. Maybe you went through 3, 4, 5 interviews, an assessment. Maybe they called your references. You went through all that and you didn't get the job. The last thing you want to do is be gracious in defeat. Reach out, say, thank you so much. I appreciate it anyways. You were upset. You're probably more likely to send an upset email than a thank you one, but that is a wrong course of action. I am here to encourage you today to think long term. And I want you to think about what you can do to set yourself up for success. So I want to go through a few reasons why it makes all the sense in the world to send a great thank you email when you don't get the job. Now, the first answer is pipelining. Pipelining. What is that? For those of you who are not a recruiter, let me explain what pipelining is. So all corporate recruiters, even agency recruiters, are encouraged by their bosses to pipeline. So what that means is you have a role you hire for frequently. It is a role in which you know you're going to need people in the future. If you're a recruiter, your boss wants you to build a network of people with those skills, right? They want you to go, hey, Ben, you do a lot of recruiting in test engineering, so start building relationships with test engineers. Even though you don't have a role like that right now, you will in the future. And when that happens, you should know a handful of great test engineers you could immediately reach out to and say, hey, I've got a new opportunity. You might be a fit for it. Do you want this job? That, my friends, is called pipelining. So even though you didn't get the job, a candidate who makes it all the way through to the final round of interviews, comes on site and gets second place or third place, you know what that is? That is the perfect candidate to be pipelined for a future opportunity. The same role you did not get now, if it is open again in 6 months, they should be calling you because you were a great candidate who almost got the job. If it was not for one person being slightly more qualified, perhaps you would have gotten that job. So that is the first reason, pipelining. Now, the other reason is business needs changing. So one of the things that I've seen happen a ton, and maybe you don't anticipate this as a second place candidate who's disappointed that they didn't get the job, that sometimes there was a surprise headcount. Sometimes they go, you know what, Ben, you just hired a recruiter for your team, but go ahead and hire a second one. Or, hey, we got additional headcount. I can hire another software developer. Well, if you were a second or third place candidate, that could be you. But imagine if there's a few of them. Imagine if there is 2 other people who came on site and interviewed, and they hired one of them, and it's you and one other person who did not get the job. Well, don't you want to be that person who kept in touch with the hiring manager, the team, or the recruiters? If you send all those people nice thank you emails that are meaningful, and they have to choose between you and some person they never heard of again, they're probably going to think of you because you're like, Ben sent me a really nice thank you email after he didn't get the job. I bet he is great to work with. That's the second reason. If they get an additional headcount, someone leaves their team, and all of a sudden, boom, they can hire another person, you want to be top of mind. Now, the last reason why it makes sense to send like a nice, kind, meaningful thank you letter when you don't get the job is counter offers. So they offered it to somebody else, right? That person is going to have to go in to their current place of employment in all likelihood and say, hey boss, I am quitting. I'm here for 2 more weeks, then I'm going somewhere else. Well, here's what's going to happen. In a lot of cases, especially when the market is hot, and right now the market is hot at the time of me recording this, early 2022. When that happens, that hiring manager is going to go, oh my gosh, this is a problem. Who am I going to find to do Ben's job? Ben's gone in 2 weeks. It's going to take me at least 2 months to find the next person. I can't have this position open for 2.5 weeks. They're going to go, Ben, what are they giving you that I'm not? What if I give you an extra $20,000, an extra week of vacation? What if I give you a promotion? What if I change your title to senior, whatever you are right now? What if I do all of these things? And that person might say yes. And then might go, you know what? They're giving me everything I was going to get at this new opportunity, but I get to stay right where I'm at. So I'm going to stay. Well, that company now they need a new person because the person they determined they were going to hire is no longer coming. And if you sent a nice thank you letter, you left a good taste in their mouth, you kept in touch, you networked appropriately, you might get that job. So the third reason why you might want to do this is because that right there happens, and it happens a lot. I have seen more counteroffers in the last 18 months being in the recruiting space than I have like my entire career combined, but they always happen. So that is the third and final reason why you should absolutely send a nice thank you letter even when you don't get the job. Now lastly, what should that email look like, right? How do you write a gracious email like, hey, you didn't choose me, but at least you wasted a bunch of my time, right? You don't want to say that, that's obvious, but what do you say? Well, whenever I've been in this position or whenever I've been advising somebody in this position, what I tell them is you want to write a meaningful thank you email that is different for every person. And ideally, you can pull out something specific from your conversation with them that is meaningful to include. Which is why you ask a lot of questions like, what is your favorite part of this job? Or how long have you been in the organization? Or what do you like to do outside of work? You know, they're asking you questions, but you can ask them questions like that. But what you want to be doing is you want to be asking questions so you can store away bits of information that you can incorporate into your thank you email. A good thank you email when you're the second place candidate sounds a little something like this. Hi, Ben. I just received word that I will not be moving forward and that you guys made the position to somebody else. But I wanted to thank you for your time. I had a great experience interviewing and learning more about your company and your team specifically. Although I won't be joining your team now, I just want you to know that I would welcome the opportunity in the future. So if you guys find yourself in the position where you need to hire another one of me, whatever the title is, please feel free to reach back out at any point. I would completely welcome it. Specifically, I found it really encouraging when you said A, B, and C, specific thing they said. That meant that I found really intriguing, or I was more interested in the opportunity after learning that thing you said. Thanks again. Have a great rest of the day. Take care. Something like that. But what you're doing there is you're accomplishing a few things. Acknowledging you didn't get the role, thanking them for their time, letting them know you were still interested, and specifically calling out something meaningful that they shared with you, making a great first impression. You don't want them all to sound the same, but send a great thank you letter to the HR person, the recruiter, the hiring manager, and if you did a panel interview and you have the emails for the people you met with, I would send it to all of them. You have already invested a ton of time. In poker terms, you are pot committed. You have already put a ton of time and effort into it. Why not take half an hour and write 2, 3, 4, 5 meaningful thank you letters? Future you will thank you, because the second place candidate often becomes the first place candidate for a future search. There you go. That's everything. If you're not subscribed, please hit that button to subscribe, hit that like button, hit the comment below. Thank you for watching. Good luck in your next interview. You got this.